I was folding the last of Luke's superhero underwear when the doorbell rang. That peculiar Wednesday evening stillness, dishwasher humming, kids finally asleep, wine barely poured, shattered with a single chime. "Coming," I called, setting my glass on the counter without taking a sip. The clock on the microwave read 9:17 p.m. Too late for package deliveries, too early for emergencies. I swung open the door to find a woman I'd never seen before. Slender, dark-haired, maybe mid-30s like me. She wore a cream blouse that looked expensive and had the kind of perfect eyebrows I'd given up trying to achieve years ago. "Can I help you?" I asked, one hand still on the door. Her eyes were red-rimmed, mascara slightly smudged at the corners. "Are you Beatrice?" Her voice cracked on my name. "Yes." My stomach tightened. Nothing good ever comes from strangers knowing your name before you know theirs. "I'm Leah." She paused, swallowing hard. "I think we need to talk about Simon." My husband's name in this stranger's mouth felt like a violation. "I'm sorry, what is this about?" I kept my tone neutral, though my pulse had doubled. "May I come in, please?" Her composure was fracturing around the edges. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't important. 15 years of marriage had taught me to trust my instincts. Something was deeply wrong. I stepped aside, letting her into my home, the home Simon and I had built, where our children slept upstairs, unaware that their world was about to implode. I led her to the kitchen, where my abandoned wine waited. "Would you like something to drink?" She shook her head, then changed her mind. "Actually, yes, whatever you're having." I poured her a glass, watching her hands shake slightly as she accepted it. We sat at the island counter, two strangers connected by something I couldn't yet name. "I don't know how to say this," Leah began, staring into her wine. "Just say it." My voice sounded calmer than I felt. She reached into her purse and pulled out her phone, tapped a few times, then slid it across the counter to me. The screen showed a photo of Simon, my Simon, with his arm around Leah. They were on a beach I didn't recognize, smiling into the camera with the easy intimacy of people who had touched each other 1,000 times. "When was this taken?" I asked, though I already knew it wasn't ancient history. 3 weeks ago. Cabo." She took a shaky breath. "We've been married for 3 years. The kitchen tilted. I gripped the counter edge, feeling the cool granite anchor me to reality. "That's impossible. I thought the same thing when I found your Christmas card." She pulled out a crumpled photo from her purse, our family Christmas card from last year. Simon, me, Haley, and Luke, in matching sweaters, smiling in front of our fireplace. It was hidden in his desk drawer at our house in Westlake. Our house. Our. "This is insane," I whispered, but the puzzle pieces were clicking into place with sickening speed. Simon's increased business trips, the mysterious calls he took outside, the new cologne I'd noticed last month. "He told me he was in Phoenix this week," Leah said, "but I followed him today. He came here." "He's upstairs right now," I said, my voice hollow. "He came home early from his conference in Chicago." We stared at each other, two women who had both believed they were Simon's only wife. "How did you find me?" I asked. "I hired someone after I found your Christmas card. I've known about you for 6 days." Her laugh was brittle. "I've been throwing up for 5. I stood up suddenly, needing to move. "I need to see proof. More proof." She nodded like she'd anticipated this. From her purse came a marriage certificate, photos of their wedding, screenshots of emails between them. With each piece of evidence, my marriage disintegrated further. "Do you have children?" I asked, suddenly terrified of the answer. "No." Her eyes filled with fresh tears. "We've been trying. I had a miscarriage last year. While he was married to me, while he came home to our children, while he told me he loved me." "I need to see him," I said, moving toward the stairs. Leah grabbed my wrist. "Wait. That's not why I came here tonight." I turned back, suddenly seeing the determination beneath her pain. "I didn't come just to tell you," she said. "I came because I think we should make him pay." The rage I'd been suppressing roared to life. 15 years, 2 children, countless anniversaries and birthdays, and ordinary Tuesdays when I'd believed in us. All of it, a lie. How? I asked. Something shifted in Leah's expression, a hardness I recognized because I could feel it crystallizing in my own heart. I have ideas, but I need to know if you're in. Upstairs, Simon slept in our bed, unaware that his 2 wives were plotting beneath him. The life I thought I had was already gone. What remained was the question of what would rise from its ashes. I'm in, I said, and raised my glass to hers. Leah left just before midnight with my number in her phone and Simon's destruction in her eyes. I stood in my kitchen, staring at the evidence she'd left behind. Photos, documents, timelines, spread across my counter like the remains of a car crash. I should have woken him immediately, screamed, thrown things, but rage had hardened into something colder, more calculated. I wanted to see him lie to my face one more time. I slipped into bed beside the stranger I'd married, my body rigid with disgust. He stirred, reaching for me in his half-sleep. "You're cold," he murmured, pulling me closer. I let him hold me, cataloguing every sensation. His familiar scent now tainted, the weight of his arm across my waist, the wedding ring on his finger that matched mine. Matched Leah's too, apparently. Sleep was impossible. I watched the bedroom ceiling until dawn broke, rehearsing what I would say, imagining his excuses, plotting my response. By the time he woke, I was sitting at the foot of the bed, fully dressed. B. Simon propped himself up, hair mussed from sleep. The sight of him, so normal, so oblivious, made my stomach turn. "What's wrong?" "How is Chicago?" I asked, my voice eerily calm. He yawned, stretching. "Boring. Same clients, same problems." He reached for his phone. "The hotel was nice, though. Great view of the lake." "Funny," I said, "because according to your wife, you were supposed to be in Phoenix this week." His hand froze mid-reach. For 1 second, just one, confusion flickered across his face before understanding dawned. Then came the performance I'd been waiting for. "What are you talking about?" He laughed, but it sounded hollow even to him. "B, you're my wife." I stood up, moving to the dresser where I'd placed Leah's evidence. "Yes, and so is she." I tossed their wedding photo onto the bed. Simon stared at it, then at me, calculation replacing confusion. "I can explain," he started. "Don't." The words sliced through the air between us. "I met her last night. We had a lovely chat, comparing notes on our husband." He got out of bed, approaching me like I was a spooked animal. "Beatrice, listen to me. It's not what you think." "It's exactly what I think. You married another woman 3 years ago. You've been living 2 separate lives." My voice remained steady, even as tears threatened. "You got her pregnant, Simon, while you were here telling me you didn't want more children." His face paled at the mention of Leah's miscarriage. "She told you about that?" "She told me everything." I stepped back, avoiding his reach. "Did you ever plan to choose? Or were you just going to keep juggling us forever?" "It wasn't like that." He ran his hand through his hair, desperation creeping in. "I love you. I love our family. And Leah, do you love her too?" His silence was answer enough. "How could you do this to us?" I whispered, to Haley and Luke. At the mention of our children, something shifted in his expression. "The kids don't need to know about this. We can work through this, B. People make mistakes. A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. This," I gestured to the evidence scattered across our bedroom. "This is a choice you made every single day for 3 years." He moved closer, his voice dropping to that intimate tone he used when he wanted to soothe me. "I know I've hurt you, but think about the kids. Think about what this would do to them." The manipulation was so transparent now that I knew what to look for. How many times had he used our children to control me? "The kids are exactly why you're going to leave this house right now," I said. "Because if you're still here when they wake up, I'm telling them exactly what their father did." "You wouldn't." His voice hardened. "Try me." We stared at each other across the wreckage of 15 years. I saw the moment he realized I wasn't bluffing. "I need time to get my things," he said. "You have 20 minutes. Then I'm waking the kids." He moved around the room, grabbing clothes, his wallet, his phone. I watched him, this man I thought I knew, now revealed as someone capable of unimaginable deception. "Where will you go?" I asked, not because I cared, but because I needed to know he wouldn't run to Leah. "A hotel." He paused, zipping his hastily packed bag. "Beatrice, we need to talk about this, properly, when you've calmed down." "Calmed down?" I laughed, the sound sharp enough to make him flinch. "I am perfectly calm. And we will talk, with lawyers present." Fear flickered across his face. "Don't do anything rash, please." "Like marrying someone while already married? That kind of rash?" He had no answer for that. At the bedroom door, he turned back. "I do love you, Bea. That was never a lie." "Everything about you is a lie, Simon. I just didn't know it until now." After he left, I sat on our bed, my bed now, and finally let the tears come. Not for him, but for the life I thought I had, for the future I'd planned, for the trust I'd given so completely. My phone buzzed with a text from Leah. "Did you confront him?" I typed back, "He's gone. What's our next move?" Her response came immediately. "Coffee. My place. 10 a.m. I found something else." Whatever came next, I wouldn't face it alone. Simon had created his own worst nightmare. Two women who knew all his secrets, with nothing left to lose. Leah's house was everything mine wasn't. Minimalist, pristine, aggressively modern. No fingerprints on the glass coffee table. No homework scattered across countertops. No evidence of children's existence. It felt like walking into a furniture showroom rather than a home. "Nice place," I said, accepting the coffee she offered. Black, no sugar. Exactly how I'd told her I liked it. She was paying attention. I wondered what else she'd noticed about me. "Simon pays the mortgage." She settled across from me, tucking her legs beneath her. "Or I guess we both do, without knowing it." The bitterness in her voice mirrored what I'd been swallowing all morning, while explaining to Haley and Luke that Daddy had to go away for work again. Another lie to protect them from their father's deception. "What did you find?" I asked, cutting to the chase. Leah pulled out her laptop. "I've been going through our finances, joint accounts, credit cards, investments." Her fingers moved across the keyboard with practiced efficiency. "Simon's been moving money around for years. Look at this." She turned the screen toward me. Spreadsheets had never been my strong suit, but even I could see the pattern of transfers. Money flowing between accounts I'd never heard of. "He's been siphoning money from both of us," she explained. "Small amounts at first, then larger sums over the past year." I thought of the vacation we'd postponed, because Simon said we needed to be more careful with money. The braces Haley needed that our insurance mysteriously wouldn't cover. All while he was bleeding our accounts dry. "How much?" My voice sounded hollow. "From your accounts? About $217,000 over the past 3 years. The room tilted slightly. "That's impossible. I would have noticed." "Would you?" Leah's gaze was knowing. "Do you check every statement? Question every explanation he gives about investments or expenses?" I didn't. Simon had always handled our finances. I trusted him. "Where's the money now?" I asked. "That's what I can't figure out." Frustration edged her voice. "It's not in any account I can find. I think he might have opened something offshore." My coffee turned bitter on my tongue. "So he's not just a bigamist, he's a thief. And possibly planning to disappear with everything." Leah closed her laptop. "He called me this morning, claimed he was staying at a conference another few days. He told me he was at a hotel." I laughed without humor. "Probably with wife number 3. Do you think there are more of us?" Leah's question hung in the air between us. The possibility hadn't occurred to me until now. "God, I hope not." We sat in silence, two women united by betrayal. trying to piece together the extent of Simon's deception. "We need to move fast," I said finally. "Freeze accounts, talk to lawyers, document everything." Leah nodded. "I've already called a lawyer. She specializes in divorce and financial fraud. She can see us both tomorrow." "Both of us? Together?" "It makes sense, doesn't it? We're stronger together than apart." She was right, but something about her efficiency made me uneasy. "How are you so calm about all this?" Leah's composure cracked slightly. "I'm not. I haven't slept in days. I've thrown up every morning since I found out." She looked away. "I thought we were trying for a baby. Now I'm grateful it didn't happen." The vulnerability in her admission made her suddenly more real to me. Not just Simon's other wife, but a woman whose dreams had been shattered just like mine. "I have to pick up my kids from school at 3, I said, checking my watch. "Before that, I want to go to the bank." "I'll come with you," Leah offered. "No." The word came out sharper than I intended. "I need to do this part alone." At the bank, I sat across from a manager named Trevor, my hands trembling slightly as I explained the situation. "I need to freeze our joint accounts and open new ones in my name only," I said, sliding over my ID and banking information. Trevor's professional mask slipped as he processed my request. "Mrs. Ramos, these are serious steps. Have you discussed this with your husband?" "My husband married another woman while still married to me and has been stealing from both of us," I said flatly. "So no, I haven't discussed it with him." His eyes widened. "I see. Let me see what we can do." 45 minutes later, I walked out with new accounts, frozen joint assets, and a strange, hollow victory. Simon would discover what I'd done within hours. There would be consequences. My phone rang as I reached my car. Summer's name flashed on the screen, my best friend, who still didn't know my marriage had imploded. "Hey," I answered, trying to sound normal. "B, what the hell is going on? Simon just called me, frantic, saying you've kicked him out and won't answer his calls." My stomach dropped. "He called you? He's worried about you. Says you're acting crazy, making wild accusations." Of course, he was already spinning the narrative, making me sound unstable. "Summer, I need you to listen carefully," I said, my voice steady despite the rage building inside me. "Simon has been living a double life. He has another wife." Silence stretched across the line. Then, that's insane. "I've met her. I've seen their marriage certificate. It's real." "Oh my God." Summer's shock sounded genuine. "Are you okay? Do you need me to come over?" "Not yet. There's more going on than I can explain right now." After hanging up, I sat in my car, hands gripping the steering wheel. Simon was already trying to turn people against me. Who else had he called? What else would he do to protect himself? My phone buzzed with a text from Leah. "How did it go?" I started to type a response, then paused. A new thought surfaced, uncomfortable but necessary. How much did I really know about Leah? What if this alliance was another manipulation? I needed to be smarter than Simon thought I was. That meant trusting no one completely, not even his other victim. "Fine," I texted back. "But we need to talk about Simon's friends. He's already started turning them against me." Her response was immediate. "He can't control the narrative if we expose him first." The seed of a plan took root. Simon had built his life on secrets. Maybe it was time to bring everything into the light, but on our terms, not his. The lawyer's office smelled like lemon polish and expensive perfume. Marissa, with her steel grey bob and tailored suit, looked exactly like the kind of woman who could eviscerate Simon in court. I liked her immediately. "Bigamy is a felony," she said, after Leah and I had laid out our situation. "But prosecuting it is complicated. Many DAs won't pursue charges unless there's another crime involved." "Like fraud?" I slid over the financial documents we'd compiled. "He's stolen over $400,000 from us combined." Marissa's eyebrows rose as she flipped through the pages. "This changes things. Financial fraud gives us leverage." "We want everything back," Leah said. plus damages, and I want full custody of my children, I added. Marissa set down the papers. Let's be clear about something. This case is messy, unique. The courts don't see many legitimate bigamy cases. She looked between us. You two working together complicates things further. How so? I asked. Your interests may not always align. Legally, Beatrice, you're the only valid spouse since you married him first. Leah's marriage isn't recognized under law. Leah stiffened beside me. So, I have no claim to anything. I didn't say that. You have claims to financial recovery for fraud, but in terms of marital assets, community property. Marissa shrugged. It gets murky. The implications settled over us. In the eyes of the law, I had more rights than Leah. The alliance between us suddenly felt fragile. I don't care about that, I said, surprising myself with how much I meant it. We both deserve justice. Leah's grateful glance warmed something in me. We'd been strangers a week ago, now bound by betrayal and determination. One more thing, Marissa said, her expression grave. Have either of you considered that there might be others? The question hung in the air like smoke. We've discussed it, I admitted, but we don't have any evidence. I'd recommend hiring a private investigator, Marissa said. If there are more women, more accounts, more properties, you need to know before we proceed. Outside the office, Leah and I walked silently to our cars, the weight of new possibilities between us. I need to check on my kids, I said finally. Summer's watching them, but I should get back. Leah nodded, then hesitated. Beatrice, what Marissa said about your marriage being the only valid one, I want you to know I don't expect... Stop. I touched her arm. We're in this together, equal partners. Her smile was small but genuine. I'll call about the investigator. At home, I found Summer and the kids playing Monopoly at the kitchen table. Haley was clearly winning, her pile of colourful money stacked neatly by denomination. My methodical daughter, so like me in ways that sometimes hurt. Mom! Luke launched himself at me. Aunt Summer let us have ice cream before dinner. Summer shrugged unapologetically. Crisis rules. After getting the kids settled with a movie, Summer cornered me in the kitchen. You look terrible, she said bluntly. Thanks. I mean it, Bea. You're pale. Are you sleeping? I wasn't. Every night since Leah's revelation had been a carousel of rage, grief, and plotting. I'm fine. Simon called again, she said, watching me carefully. He wants to see the kids this weekend. My hands tightened around my coffee mug. Absolutely not. Bea. Summer hesitated. I know he's done something unforgivable, but he's still their father. A father who was ready to steal their college funds and disappear, I snapped. You don't know everything, Summer. Then tell me. She leaned forward. Because right now, all I know is you're working with this other woman, making huge financial moves, and refusing to let Simon see his children. From the outside, it looks... Crazy, I supplied. That's what he wants people to think. Summer sighed. I'm on your side, always, but I'm worried about you. I softened, recognizing the concern behind her words. We found out he's been stealing from both of us. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. He's not just a cheater, Summer. He's a criminal. Her eyes widened. Jesus, Bea. There's more. I lowered my voice, glancing toward the living room, where the kids were engrossed in their movie. We think there might be other women, other families. No way. Summer looked genuinely shocked. How would he even manage that? His job, the travel, he's always had the perfect cover. I rubbed my temples, feeling a headache building. We're hiring someone to investigate. Summer was quiet for a long moment. What can I do? Just be here. For me, for the kids. I swallowed hard. And maybe help me figure out how to tell them their father isn't who they thought he was. After Summer left, I checked my phone to find 3 missed calls from Simon and a text. We need to talk about the accounts. This isn't fair to the kids. Always the children. His favorite leverage. I was about to ignore it when another text came through, this one from Leah. Found something. Call me ASAP. Her voice was tight when I called. The investigator did a preliminary search. Simon owns property in Portland under a different name. A house. My stomach dropped. Another family. I don't know yet, but there's something else. She paused. Victoria knows. Victoria? His assistant? The betrayal felt fresh all over again. How do you know? The investigator found emails between them. She's been helping him manage the schedules, making sure you and I never crossed paths. I sank into a chair, remembering all the times Victoria had rescheduled dinner plans, redirected my calls when I was trying to reach Simon, sent me birthday gifts from him when he was supposedly unreachable. She's been his accomplice this whole time, I whispered. There's more, Leah said. According to the emails, Simon's planning something big, some kind of investment that requires significant capital. Soon, the pieces clicked together. The missing money, the property in Portland, the urgency in his recent financial decisions. He's going to run, I realized. That's why he's been liquidating assets. We need to move faster, Leah said, before he disappears with everything. After hanging up, I stared at the family photos still hanging on my walls. Simon smiling with Haley on his shoulders. Simon teaching Luke to ride a bike. All those moments I'd thought were real, now tainted by the knowledge that he'd been building other lives in parallel. I took down each frame, stacking them on the dining room table. Then I picked up my phone and did something I'd been avoiding. I called Simon back. Beatrice, he answered immediately. Thank God. We need to talk. The Portland house, I cut in. Who lives there, Simon? The silence on the other end told me everything. I'm giving you one chance, I continued, my voice steady despite the rage coursing through me. Tell me everything now, or what happens next will destroy you completely. Simon's silence stretched across the phone line. I could almost see him calculating, weighing lies against truths, deciding how much to reveal. It's not what you think, he finally said. It never is with you. I kept my voice low, aware of the kids in the next room. Who lives in Portland, Simon? No one, he sighed. It's an investment property. Try again. Beatrice, please. Can we meet in person? This isn't a conversation we should have over the phone. No more private conversations, I said. No more secrets. Tell me now or I'm calling the police. Another pause. Her name is Diane. It's complicated. Is she your wife too? My knuckles turned white around the phone. No, God, no, she was a mistake. A brief thing that ended years ago. But you bought her a house. The pieces weren't fitting together. Why would you? She has my daughter, he said quietly. Mia, she's 6. The floor seemed to drop beneath me. I gripped the counter to steady myself. You have another child? My voice sounded distant, like it belonged to someone else. It wasn't planned. Diane and I, it was just a few months. When she got pregnant, I tried to do the right thing. The right thing? I laughed, the sound harsh even to my own ears. You hid a child from your family for 6 years. You stole from us to support your secret daughter. I didn't steal from you, he protested. I was providing for my child. With money from our children's future. I was shaking now, rage and grief colliding. Does Leah know about this? His sharp intake of breath confirmed she didn't. Jesus, Simon, how many lives have you destroyed? I never meant to hurt anyone, he said, his voice breaking. It just happened. And then I couldn't find a way out that wouldn't hurt everyone. So you just kept lying, kept taking, kept betraying everyone who trusted you. B, please. I know I've made terrible mistakes, but I love you. I love our children. If you'll just give me a chance to explain everything. I'm done listening to your explanations. I cut him off. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to transfer every penny you've taken back into our accounts. You're going to sign whatever papers my lawyer sends you. And you're going to stay away from me and my children until I figure out how to tell them their father is a fraud. They're my children too, he said, desperation edging his voice. You can't keep them from me. Watch me. I hung up, my hands trembling so badly I nearly dropped the phone. Another child. A daughter Haley and Luke had never met. A sister hidden from them their entire lives. I called Leah immediately. "There's a child in Portland," I said when she answered. "A 6-year-old daughter with a woman named Diane." Leah's sharp intake of breath mirrored my own shock. "Are you sure?" Simon confirmed it. He claims it was a brief relationship, but he's been supporting them secretly for years. I pressed my forehead against the cool kitchen window. He's been stealing from us to maintain a whole other family. "That son of a bitch," Leah whispered. "The investigator is still digging. Who knows what else we'll find?" "I need to see it," I said suddenly. "The Portland house. I need to see this woman, this child." "Beatrice, I don't think that's a good idea. Probably not, but I'm going anyway." The decision crystallized as I spoke. I need to know the full truth before I decide what to tell my children. After hanging up, I stood in my kitchen, surrounded by the life Simon and I had built. The breakfast nook where we'd spent Sunday mornings, the height marks on the doorframe tracking our children's growth, the refrigerator covered in artwork and school schedules. All of it felt like a stage set now, a carefully constructed facade hiding the truth. "Mom," Haley stood in the doorway, her 12-year-old face serious. "Are you and Dad getting divorced?" The question I'd been dreading. I motioned her over, pulling her into a hug. "It's complicated, sweetheart." I smoothed her hair, buying time. "Your dad and I have some serious problems to work through." "Is it because of that lady who came to the house? Luke said he saw someone talking to you the night before Dad left." Of course she knew. Children always know more than we think. "Partly," I admitted. "Your dad hasn't been honest with me. Or with any of us." Haley pulled back, studying my face. "Did he cheat on you?" So direct, my daughter. No wonder she and Simon butted heads. They were too similar in some ways. "It's more complicated than that," I said carefully. "But yes, that's part of it." "Are we going to be okay?" Her voice was small, suddenly reminding me that despite her maturity, she was still a child whose world was crumbling. "We are absolutely going to be okay," I said firmly. "You, me, and Luke. We're a team. Nothing will change that." She nodded, but doubt lingered in her eyes. "When will Dad come home?" The question pierced me. How could I explain that the father she knew had never really existed? "I don't know, sweetheart, but I need to take a short trip to figure some things out. Just 2 days. Aunt Summer will stay with you and Luke." "Where are you going?" "Portland," I said, deciding on honesty. "There's someone I need to meet." After Haley went to bed, I booked a flight and texted Leah. "Going to Portland tomorrow." "Coming?" Her response was immediate. "Already booked my ticket. We leave at 8 a.m. I packed a small bag, my mind racing with questions. What would I say to this woman, this Diane? What did she know about Simon's other lives? And the child, Mia? What would it be like to see Simon's features reflected in a face I'd never known existed? As I zipped my suitcase, my phone lit up with a text from Simon. "Please don't do this. You'll only make things worse." Too late. The time for his preferences had ended the moment Leah knocked on my door. Whatever we found in Portland, I was done protecting Simon from the consequences of his choices. Portland greeted us with steady rain and grey skies that matched my mood. Leah and I barely spoke during the flight, each lost in our own thoughts about what awaited us. The rental car's windshield wipers kept time with my racing heart as we navigated through unfamiliar streets toward the address the investigator had provided. "It's in the West Hills," Leah noted, checking the GPS. "Expensive neighborhood." Of course it was. Simon never did anything halfway. The house appeared around a curve. A modern craftsman with large windows and a meticulously landscaped yard. Not ostentatious, but certainly not cheap. I parked across the street, my hands trembling slightly as I turned off the engine. "Are you sure about this?" Leah asked, studying my face. "No," I admitted, "but I need to see." We sat in silence, watching the house. What was I expecting? a sign that read Simon's Secret Family. After 15 minutes, the front door opened. A woman emerged, holding an umbrella over herself, and a small girl in a yellow raincoat. The child skipped down the steps, jumping deliberately into a puddle at the bottom. My breath caught. Even from this distance, I could see Simon in her. The same dark curls, the same way of tilting her head. "That's her," I whispered. "That's Mia." Leah's hand found mine, squeezing tightly. I hadn't realized how much I'd needed that simple human contact until she offered it. The woman, Diane, helped Mia into a silver SUV parked in the driveway. They pulled out, driving past us without a glance. I watched until their taillights disappeared around the corner. "What now?" Leah asked. I took a deep breath. Now we wait. 3 hours later, the SUV returned. This time, I didn't hesitate. As soon as Diane and Mia entered the house, I was out of the car, crossing the street with Leah hurrying behind me. My knock was answered quickly. Diane was taller than I expected, with sharp features and wary eyes that widened when she saw us standing on her porch. "Can I help you?" she asked, one hand still on the door like she might slam it closed. "I'm Beatrice," I said, "Simon's wife." Her face drained of color. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Please," I said, my voice softer than I'd intended. "I'm not here to cause trouble. I just need answers." Something in my expression must have reached her. She glanced behind her, then stepped onto the porch, pulling the door nearly closed. "Mia's inside," she said quietly. "I don't want her hearing this." "Does she know about Simon?" Leah asked. Diane's eyes flickered to her. "And you are?" "I'm Leah, Simon's other wife." A bitter laugh escaped Diane. "Jesus Christ, he really did it, didn't he? Married someone else?" She shook her head. "I told him he was going to get caught eventually." The casual way she said it struck me like a physical blow. "You knew? About his family? About me?" She had the decency to look ashamed. "Not at first. We met at a conference. He said he was divorced, shared custody of his kids." She sighed. "By the time I found out the truth, I was already pregnant." "And you stayed with him?" Leah's voice held no judgment, just curiosity. "Not romantically. That ended when I discovered he was married." Diane crossed her arms. "But he's Mia's father. He wanted to be part of her life, and I let him, on my terms." "Which included this house," I said, looking past her at the expensive property. "And Mia's private school tuition, and a trust fund for her future." Her chin lifted slightly. "Call it compensation for raising his child largely alone. I should have hated this woman. Instead, I felt an unexpected kinship with her. Another casualty of Simon's manipulation." "Does Mia know who he really is?" I asked. "She knows her father travels for work and has another family he can't leave." Diane's expression softened. "She's 6. That's enough complexity for now." "When did you last hear from him?" Leah asked. 3 days ago. He seemed agitated. Said he might not be able to visit for a while." Diane studied us. "I'm guessing that has something to do with you two finding each other." I nodded. "He's been stealing money from both our families. We think he's planning to disappear." Diane's face hardened. "That bastard. After everything." She stopped, taking a deep breath. "You should come inside. There's something you need to see." We followed her into a tastefully decorated living room. Mia was nowhere in sight, presumably in another part of the house. Diane disappeared briefly, returning with a laptop. "Simon doesn't know I have this," she said, opening it. "He left it here during his last visit and took mine by mistake. I was going to mail it to him, but—" She shrugged. "I got curious." She turned the screen toward us. His email was still logged in. "Look at these." I leaned forward, scanning the messages. Correspondence with someone named Marcus about a property in Costa Rica. Transfer confirmations for large sums to an offshore account. Flight itineraries. "He's leaving the country," Leah whispered. "Next week." "One-way tickets," I noted, my stomach dropping. "For him and Victoria." Diane looked confused. "Who's Victoria?" His assistant, Leah explained. Apparently she's more than that. The betrayal felt fresh all over again. Not just the lies, the theft, the secret families, but this final escape plan with yet another woman. He's not just running, I realized, scrolling through more emails. He's taking everything. Look at these liquidation orders. He's cashing out accounts, investments, everything he can get his hands on, including the college funds I'd set up for Haley and Luke, including the inheritance my father had left me. All of it, scheduled to transfer to untraceable accounts 3 days from now. My phone buzzed with a text. Summer. Simon showed up at the house, says he needs to get some things for a business trip. Should I let him in? Cold dread washed over me. He's at my house, right now. With the kids? Leah asked sharply. I nodded, already dialing Summer's number. No answer. We need to go, I said, standing abruptly. Now. Diane caught my arm. Wait, take this. She handed me the laptop. Use it to stop him. In the car, racing to the airport, I called the police, my lawyer, anyone who might help. No one could do anything immediately. Simon had legal right to enter his own home. He hadn't technically broken any laws by booking flights. He's going to take the kids, I said, panic rising in my throat. He's going to disappear with my children. Leah's hand found mine again, steady and warm. We won't let that happen. As we rushed through the airport, my phone finally lit up with a response from Summer. Everything's fine. He got some clothes and left, said to tell you he's sorry. The relief was short-lived. Sorry for what? For the lies. Or for what he was about to do. The next available flight home wasn't until morning. 8 hours of helpless waiting, knowing Simon was making his final moves. Whatever game he was playing, the endgame had begun, and I was running out of time to stop him. The house was quiet when I finally made it home the next afternoon. Too quiet. Summer met me at the door, her face tight with worry. Where are the kids? I asked immediately, dropping my bag in the entryway. With Simon. She held up her hands as panic flashed across my face. It's okay. He took them for ice cream. Said he'd have them back by 4. I checked my watch. 3:15. Did he say anything else? Act strange? He seemed sad, resigned. Summer followed me into the kitchen. He told the kids he needed to talk to them about some changes happening in the family. My blood ran cold. He's going to tell them. Tell them what? I hadn't shared everything with Summer yet. Now, as I quickly explained about Diane, Mia, and the Costa Rica plans, her expression shifted from confusion to horror. You think he's planning to take Haley and Luke? She asked. I don't know. I paced the kitchen. But I'm not taking chances. I called my lawyer, who promised to file for an emergency custody order, but warned it might not be processed until tomorrow. I called the police again, but without evidence of immediate danger to the children, they couldn't intervene in what they considered a domestic dispute. At 3:55, I heard Simon's car in the driveway. I positioned myself in the living room, trying to appear calmer than I felt. Summer squeezed my hand before slipping out the back door. We'd agreed this confrontation shouldn't happen in front of an audience. The front door opened. Luke's voice carried through the house, excited about something. Haley's followed, quieter but animated. Then Simon's, a gentle rumble that once brought me comfort but now sent ice through my veins. Mom! Luke spotted me first, launching himself across the room. Dad took us to the Science Museum after ice cream. We saw real dinosaur bones. I hugged him tightly, breathing in his familiar scent, grass and cotton candy, and little boy sweat. That sounds amazing, buddy. Haley approached more cautiously, her eyes moving between Simon and me. At 12, she was old enough to sense the tension crackling in the air. Hi, Mom, she said, accepting my hug with a stiffness that broke my heart. How was your trip? Educational, I said, meeting Simon's eyes over her head. Very educational. Simon stood in the doorway, hands in his pockets. He looked exhausted, the lines around his eyes deeper than I remembered. "Kids, why don't you go upstairs and get cleaned up?" I suggested. "I need to talk to your dad." Luke groaned but complied. Haley lingered, her gaze suspicious. "Is everything okay?" she asked. "It will be," I promised. "Go on." Once they were upstairs, Simon stepped fully into the room. "Beatrice." "Portland was lovely," I cut him off. "Diane says hello." He flinched. "You had no right to go there. And you had no right to hide a child from me for 6 years." I kept my voice low, mindful of little ears that might be listening. "Or to steal from our family to support your secret one." "I was trying to do right by everyone," he said, sinking onto the couch. "I know it doesn't make sense to you, but—" "Costa Rica makes even less sense," I interrupted. "One-way tickets for you and Victoria? Really?" His head snapped up. "How did you—" "Diane had your laptop." I smiled thinly. "You really should be more careful about where you leave your things, Simon. And who you trust." For the first time, I saw genuine fear in his eyes. "Good. It's not what you think," he started, but I was done with his explanations. "Here's what's going to happen," I said, my voice steady despite the rage and hurt churning inside me. "You're going to sign full custody of the children over to me. You're going to return every penny you've taken, and then you're going to disappear from our lives." He laughed, a hollow sound. "Or what? Or I send copies of your emails to the police, the IRS, and your company's board of directors." I pulled out my phone, showing him the screenshots I'd taken. Financial fraud, tax evasion, misuse of company funds. Should I continue? The color drained from his face. "You wouldn't." "Try me." I stepped closer. "You've taken everything from me, Simon. My trust, my security, my future. The only things I have left are my children and my anger. Don't test either one." He stood, running a hand through his hair, a gesture so familiar it made my chest ache despite everything. "I never meant for any of this to happen," he said quietly. "I loved you, B. I still do. Love doesn't lie for 15 years. I moved toward the stairs, calling up, "Haley, Luke, come down, please." Simon's eyes widened. "What are you doing?" "Ending this, now." The kids appeared at the top of the stairs, uncertainty on their faces. "Come sit down," I said gently. "Dad and I need to tell you something important." "Beatrice, don't," Simon pleaded. "They're too young. They deserve the truth." I turned to him. "Unless you'd prefer to leave now, sign the papers tomorrow, and let me explain things my way." I could see him calculating, weighing his options. The man I thought I knew would have chosen the children. The man he really was chose self-preservation. "I'll sign whatever you want," he said quietly. "Just let me say goodbye to them properly." Something in his defeated tone made me hesitate. Was this another manipulation, or was he finally, truly surrendering? "Fine," I said. "You have 5 minutes." I stepped into the hallway, giving them privacy but staying close enough to hear. Simon's voice broke as he told Haley and Luke he needed to go away for a while, that he'd made mistakes, that he loved them more than anything. Luke's confused questions, Haley's accusatory silence, the sound of hugs and sniffles and promises that couldn't possibly be kept. When Simon emerged, his eyes were red. "They're asking for you," he said. I moved past him without a word, finding my children huddled together on the couch. Luke crawled into my lap immediately. Haley kept her distance, arms crossed. "Did you make Dad leave?" she demanded. "No, sweetheart. Dad made choices that mean he can't stay right now." I reached for her hand. "I promise I'll explain everything when you're ready to hear it." "When will he come back?" Luke asked, his voice small. I met Simon's eyes over their heads. He stood in the doorway, watching his family for what might be the last time. "I don't know, buddy," I said honestly, "but we're going to be okay." Simon nodded once, acknowledgement, surrender, goodbye, and walked out the door. The sound of his car starting, then fading away, marked the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. My children clung to me, confused and hurting, But they were safe, they were here, and whatever came next, we would face it together. The battle wasn't over. There would be lawyers and paperwork and painful conversations in the days ahead. But in that moment, watching Simon drive away from the life he'd destroyed, I felt something unexpected break loose inside me. Not forgiveness, not yet, but perhaps the first fragile roots of freedom. The symphony hall buzzed with pre-performance energy. Well-dressed patrons found their seats, while musicians tuned their instruments, creating that beautiful chaos of sound that precedes harmony. I smoothed my black dress, new, purchased with money that was fully mine, and checked my watch. "Nervous?" Leah asked, elegant in deep blue beside me. Strangely, no. I scanned the filling auditorium. "Is everything set?" She nodded, a small smile playing at her lips. Victoria confirmed he's coming. Front row, as always. Simon's predictability had become our greatest asset. His love of appearing cultured, of being seen at important cultural events, was one habit he couldn't break, even after losing nearly everything else. 3 months had passed since he'd walked out of my house. 3 months of lawyers and court dates and painful conversations with my children. 3 months of rebuilding from the ashes of 15 years of lies. The custody agreement was finalized last week. The financial settlements were still ongoing, complicated by Simon's attempts to hide assets. But tonight wasn't about legal victories. Tonight was about something more personal. "There he is," Leah murmured. Simon entered from the side door, Victoria on his arm. They looked like the perfect couple. He in his tailored suit, she in a sleek red dress. If I hadn't known better, I might have believed they were just what they appeared to be. "Right on time," I said, checking my phone. "Diane?" "In position." Leah's eyes gleamed with anticipation. "And the others?" "All here." I scanned the audience again, picking out the faces I'd come to know over the past months. Melissa from Seattle, Jenna from Chicago. Each woman Simon had manipulated, used, and discarded over the years. We'd found them all, one by one, through the investigator and Simon's stolen laptop. Some had been brief affairs, others, more serious entanglements. All had been lied to. All had lost something: money, time, trust, dignity. All had agreed to be here tonight. "It's almost time," Leah said as the lights began to dim. "Are you sure about this?" I thought of Haley and Luke at home with Summer, still struggling to understand why their father had left. I thought of the night Leah had appeared at my door, shattering my world and ultimately setting me free. "Absolutely sure." The conductor appeared to enthusiastic applause. The program tonight featured Tchaikovsky's Symphony No. 6, the Pathétique, Simon's favorite, which was why we'd chosen this particular performance. The music began, filling the hall with its emotional power. I watched Simon lean toward Victoria, whispering something that made her smile. The picture of contentment, of a man who believed he'd escaped the worst consequences of his actions. He had no idea what was coming. As the first movement reached its climax, I slipped out of my seat and made my way to the side of the stage. The security guard nodded. We'd arranged everything in advance, with the symphony's reluctant permission. This wasn't part of the program, but they'd agreed after hearing our story. The movement ended. During the brief pause before the second began, I stepped onto the stage. A murmur rippled through the audience. The conductor looked at me, then stepped aside as planned. I approached the microphone at the center of the stage. "Good evening," I said, my voice steady. "I apologize for this unusual interruption." My eyes found Simon in the front row. The shock on his face was everything I'd hoped for. "My name is Beatrice, and I'm here tonight because of a man in this audience." I paused, letting the tension build. A man who has spent decades building his life on lies. Simon half rose from his seat, then sank back down as Victoria clutched his arm. He was trapped. Walking out would only draw more attention. "This man married me 15 years ago," I continued. "He fathered my 2 beautiful children. He built a life with me based on trust and promises. I gestured to the side of the auditorium, where Leah now stood. He also married this woman 3 years ago, creating a parallel life while maintaining his first. Gasps and whispers spread through the crowd. Simon's face had gone deathly pale. But that wasn't enough. I nodded toward the opposite side, where Diane stood with Mia. He created a third family, and a fourth. One by one, the women stood throughout the auditorium, Melissa, Jenna, and 3 others, each representing a different chapter in Simon's elaborate deception. For years, this man stole from each of us, not just our money, but our time, our trust, our dignity. He made us doubt ourselves, question our worth, blame ourselves for his absences and inconsistencies. I looked directly at Simon now. He sat frozen, Victoria's hand no longer on his arm. She was staring at him with dawning horror. "We're not here for revenge," I said, softening my voice. "We're here because the truth matters, because secrets thrive in silence, because each of us deserved better than to be part of someone else's lie." Security was approaching Simon now, not to remove him, but to escort him to the stage as we'd arranged. "Simon," I said into the microphone, "would you care to address these women, all in the same room for the first time?" He shook his head, refusing to move. It didn't matter. We hadn't expected courage from him. "Then I'll say what you won't," I continued. "To each woman here who was deceived, you did nothing wrong. You were not foolish for trusting. You were not blind for believing. The failure was never yours." Tears streamed down Leah's face. Diane held Mia closer. The other women stood tall, finally seen, finally validated. We stand here not as victims, but as survivors, not defined by what was done to us, but by how we've chosen to rise above it. I stepped back from the microphone, my part complete. The conductor returned to his podium, nodding respectfully to me as I left the stage. By the time I returned to my seat, Simon and Victoria were gone, slipping out during the commotion. It didn't matter. We'd accomplished what we came for. The music resumed, the passionate strains of Tchaikovsky filling the hall. Beside me, Leah reached for my hand. Across the aisle, Diane smiled, her daughter sleeping against her shoulder. Throughout the auditorium, women who had been strangers months ago exchanged glances of solidarity. "Was it worth it?" Leah whispered as the music swelled. I thought of the journey that had brought me here, from the woman who had believed in fairy tales to the one who had found strength in their destruction, from a wife defined by her marriage to a woman defined by her own resilience. "Every moment," I replied. The symphony played on, its beauty undiminished by the drama that had unfolded. Like us, it had weathered its discordant moments and found its way back to harmony, different perhaps from what was originally written, but powerful in its own right. As the final notes faded into silence, I felt something settle within me, not an ending, but a beginning. Not forgiveness, but freedom. The story Simon had written for us was over. It was time to compose our own,